soon after the legislation passed, some victims were compensated. Compensation began, but it was put on hold when these court cases arose. And the reason was one of the unfortunate things about the way the legislation was written, it set a total amount rather than an amount per victim, and that amount was $10 million. They can't really pay people until they know how many victims there's going to be, and they won't know how many victims there are until these court cases get settled. There's two issues that have arisen and two sets of cases that are holding things up. In the one case, there are some people who were sterilized, but they weren't sterilized the way they ought to have been. That is to say, their sterilizations were illegal even under the laws at the time. One of these women from Mecklenburg County was sterilized in the 70s, and it turns out that Mecklenburg County acted without going through the state eugenics board. So the way the law is written, she's not eligible, at least under the letter of the law, because the law says that it has to be for people sterilized under the authorization of that particular act, and she wasn't. She was illegally sterilized. That's not to say she doesn't deserve compensation. She probably has a civil case against Mecklenburg County, but the courts have said she's not eligible under the act. She has appealed that, and until that case gets resolved, we won't know what her status and the status of some others who are in a similar position will be. The other group are the heirs of people who died before June of 2013. The act says it's only going to pay compensation to victims who are alive on that date. And that's because otherwise there would be a huge number of heirs, and they're not going to deal with them. But some of those heirs, three groups of them, have sued saying that this is arbitrary and it violates their rights to due process and equal protection. They want to get their part of, they want to get a portion of the payout based on the fact that they are the heirs of somebody who was a victim who died before the cutoff date.